Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, carrying out your charitable wishes forever. Whether it's helping shelter animals, feeding the homeless, enhancing the arts, or supporting students. Learn more at leaveabequest.org.
Hello, everyone. I'm Barbara Hamley. Up next on Another View, the final Another View Roundtable of 2024. Alvian Lyons, Dawn Hester, and Allison Moore are here and ready to weigh in on the major social, political, and cultural events of this past year and what we can expect in 2025. But first, as you prepare for the holidays, why not give a loved one a membership to WHRO Public Media? Yep, it's our winter membership drive, and Another View audience, we've got 1 hour to meet and exceed our $2,000 challenge. Here to help us get started are Another View producer Lisa Godley and midday host producer Dr. Barry Graham. Hey, you guys.
Hey. We are excited to be here.
Absolutely. 1-800-940-7170 or WHRO.org are two ways that you can donate within this hour. If you call us now, make your pledge of support, your money will be matched dollar for dollar up to $2,000. Isn't that right, Lisa?
That's absolutely right. We love you. We know you love us. At least we hope you do. And, but this is the opportunity. This is your time to support what you love. So pick up the phone and give us a call and let folks know, I want to see this show continue. We're going into 15 years.
Yes, we are. Coming up on
really
15 years. We are.
We are very excited about that, and we're excited about the different shows that we have planned for you. We're excited about the shows that we've brought you already, and it's just a good time here. We enjoy it every Thursday at noon, and in my opinion, there's nothing like it anywhere else.
What do you think about that, Barry?
I couldn't agree anymore. Trust me, there is nothing quite like this crew, and also what you hear here on this radio program. And I was just inside the main studio listening to Pledge Central, and already, people were calling back there. I know you all were here inside the studio getting ready for the show, and people were calling already saying how much they appreciate Another View and the things that they have learned from this radio program. Let me echo that same sentiment. The things I have learned and continue to learn from Another View and the effort that goes into this radio program. If you are a listener, then please consider calling and support it.
Absolutely. 1-800-940-7170. That is the number to call. Make your pledge of support and become a member of WHRO Public Media. You will listen to Another View in a whole different way because you know what? You own it. It was because of your support. People think a lot of times, guys, that we get money from the federal government or the state or grants and so forth. And there is some of that, but the majority of the money that is given through Pledge supports our local programming. And we could not do this without you. Barry, I know you have several shows over the weekend. Your shows would not happen if it were not for our support.
Absolutely not. It is the partnership we have with the public. That's the public radio model, that you have to go to the public and say, will you support us? And the way we do that is through these pledge drives 3 times a year. So it's just the public radio model, and it is very, very successful here in Hampton Roads because people love what they hear here on 89.5, especially Thursdays at noon.
You can go to WHRO.org. We do have a $2,000 challenge, which means that any money that is pledged from now until 1 o'clock. So we're already 3 minutes and 56 seconds into that hour.
Let's go.
We need you to give us a call now. 1-800-940-7170. Talk to the volunteers. Tell them that you're calling in support of Another View, and we would be so very appreciative of that, wouldn't we, Lisa?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is your chance to become a part of the family officially.
Yes.
So pick up the phone and give us a call.
1-800-940-7170. I'm going to say it over and over and over until those phones start ringing.
People
And,
ask if we say it in our sleep, and we say yes,
we say yes,
do.
Exactly, we do. It's interesting because we don't know. We're in the studio, and so we are away from where the action is happening, where you're actually calling in. So I'm going to go by total faith that the phone lines are lit up, that our volunteers are super busy, and that people are calling in to make that pledge of support. Now, you can also become a sustainer. And Lisa or Barry, you guys want to explain what a sustainer is?
Well, basically, it makes things a lot easier, in my opinion. You just tell us, how much you like us to take out every month. You don't have to worry about writing checks. You don't have to worry about it anymore. And we'll just continue to make those monthly withdrawals until you say stop. And we hope you never do, because we hope you will continue to support us, because sustainers are becoming a huge part of our family and a lot of our funding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as a matter of fact, it allows WHRO to really know on a monthly basis how much money is coming in. It helps. It's easier to budget. It helps the environment because we don't have to send you notifications saying it is time to renew, things of that sort. And you're supporting Another View. Your dollars, when you call in this hour, your money is going in support of Another View. So we really hope that you will give us a call right now, 1-800-940-7170, or you can go to whro.org, and we thank you in advance for your pledge of support.
Discussing today's topics from an African American perspective, this is Another View.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Ham Lee. It's our winter membership drive, and we have a $2,000 challenge, which means we have until the end of this show to meet and exceed that challenge. So if you become a member now, or give a little extra if you are a sustainer, your pledge will be matched dollar for dollar up to $2,000. 800-940-7170 or WHRO.org. Volunteers are standing by, so please make that call. It is so hard to believe it, but this is the last Another View Roundtable for 2024. Let's meet our pundits. Dr. Alvian Lyons specializes in human behavior and is a consultant to corporations and other organizations. She's also an author and a podcaster and an all-around great woman. Hello there, Alvian.
Hi, guys.
Dawn Hester is a career politician and educator and serves as treasurer for the city of Norfolk. Hey, Dawn.
Hey.
I'm so glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
And Allison Moore is a clean comedian, HR specialist, and now adjunct professor with Virginia Wesleyan University. And you got some other stuff going on, don't you?
Yep. Ad talk show host, back to the list. More Laughing in the Morning show is back on in the morning. So, yeah. Hey, y'all. Hey.
Absolutely. And I had a chance to view it, and it is fabulous. So,
yeah. We got to bring you back on. Thank you.
Congratulations. Absolutely. So, in all of that good things that's going on, unfortunately, another icon in the Black community, known for her literary talent, poet laureate Nikki Giovanni, passed away earlier this week. An outstanding writer, activist, and college professor, Giovanni leaves behind a legacy of works that will forever shape the Black arts movement. Our Lisa Godley takes a look at her amazing life.
I was born in the Congo. I walked to the Fertile Crescent and built the Sphinx. I designed a pyramid so tough that a star that only glows every 100 years falls into the center, giving divine, perfect light. I am bad.
Born Yolanda Cornelia Giovanni Jr., Nikki Giovanni wrote her first book of poems while in her mid-20s, self-publishing Black Feeling, Black Talk in 1968. That book sold more than 10,000 copies in its first year. She quickly became a rising star of the civil rights movement. She would go on to write close to 24 poetry collections, more than a dozen children's books, and record many of those works for various record labels. Then, there was Nikki the Interviewer, who would sit down and have candid conversations with other greats like James Baldwin and Muhammad Ali. Throughout her career, Nikki did an amazing job of chronicling the highs and lows of Black life in America, often speaking out against hate-motivated violence. After the mass shooting at Virginia Tech in 2007, she wrote a poem for the school where she served as a professor for 35 years, titled "We Are Virginia Tech." She read it at the memorial convocation.
We will continue to invent the future through our blood and tears, through all this sadness. We are the Hokies. We will prevail. We will prevail. We will prevail. We are Virginia Tech.
Her recognitions and awards are too many to name. In the 1970s alone, she was named Woman of the Year by 3 major magazines: Ebony, Mademoiselle, and Ladies' Home Journal.
I like birdhouses and bird feeders and my coffee in the morning on the deck where I hear the birds singing. And mostly, I like the peace of the breezes singing through the trees and, oh, by the way, I really like you.
Nikki Giovanni battled cancer 3 times. According to her lifelong partner, Jenny Fowler, who was by her side, she passed away peacefully on December 9th. She was 81. At the time of her death, Nikki Giovanni was working on a memoir and a poetry collection titled The Last Book. It was set for publication in 2025. Nikki Giovanni was a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and is being remembered by her sorors, numerous family and friends, and thousands of fans around the world. And while her light may have dimmed, her words will continue to uplift, inspire, and guide generations to come. For Another View, I'm Lisa Godley.
Any Nikki Giovanni fans sitting around this table, y'all?
You can't be a black woman and not be, in my opinion. But I guess you could. But yes.
Yeah. And I know she was a member of your sorority.
Yeah, she was a delight. She was smart. She was gentle, but she was fierce.
Yeah, very much so. So, ladies, so much is going on. I tell you, I don't even know where to start. But let's start here. Let's start with the murder of Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, last week in New York. Now, the accused gunman is Luigi Mangione, a 26-year-old who was arrested in Pennsylvania. Now, at the time of his arrest, he was carrying multiple fake IDs and a 3D printed ghost gun with a suppressor. The shell casings found at the murder scene had the words delay, deny, and depose, possibly referencing what happens when insurance companies deny coverage. He is now fighting extradition to New York. Now, as tragic as this murder is, public reaction has been mixed because of the mounting frustration over insurance companies denying payment for medical care. Alice Alvian, how did we get here? I mean, I just thought it was just so interesting, the different reactions to what happened.
There are lots of things that this particular tragedy unearthed. Starting first with NMPD, New York PD, so NYPD, indicated when the shooting originally happened that it was a light-skinned male. Not a white male, a light-skinned male, which they got called out about online because there was a perception that they were unwilling to acknowledge that anyone who could have committed such a crime was not a person of color. That was quickly pulled down, but not before many entities screenshotted that. So there was a whole conversation that happened behind the scenes, so to speak, about how we perceive who commits crime. So that was the first thing. The second thing was the shock that an Ivy League young white male would do such a thing, right? Then after that was to discover that not only was he Ivy League, so this is not a one of those who came from that side of town who was able to get a financial aid scholarship that sent him to Ivy League. He comes from a super wealthy family.
From my hometown of Baltimore.
Okay, right. And so then now, because none of the narrative that we like to say America needs to be most concerned about, the people who are problematic in America, does he fit? The latest thing has been a on some of the less popular online news sites. Latest one is Luigi Mangione, Secret Gay Life, How CEO Executioner Was Closeted Homosexual with a Preference for Black Men. Tell me what that has to do with him murdering someone in broad daylight.
Exactly.
But what it says to us is how we choose to ascribe criminality, who we try to make sure is not included in criminality, that demographic is not seen as those people, without acknowledging the fact that we're all those people. And under enough pressure and enough terrible situations, with enough denial, with enough rejection, with enough marginalization, you are going to get as some people say, the teapot experience. You boil it long enough and something horrible comes out. The scream, the analogy of the scream, will be manifested in our community. Martin Luther King said that riots are the
cry of the oppressed.
Cry of the oppressed, right? So while in no way are we suggesting on air that anyone should take criminal action to make a very important point, what we are acknowledging is that every time things happen, who we are as a nation becomes elevated in the way we respond to whatever took place. So I find this story to be very interesting because it challenges all of the perceptions of what criminality is, all of the motivations associated with criminality, the way that people want to make it either political or socioeconomic or racial or education. It challenges all of those things. So this, for me, will be very interesting to watch because you're already watching how they're attempting to make him, to other him in a way that makes him one of those people.
But you know what's so interesting from what you just read, that headline from the lesser news sites, still ascribes, Dawn, back to Black men.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like
if you
if
even
there's a crime,
associate
it's
with them,
got to be,
it makes you criminal.
Right.
Yeah.
There's always got to be
Can't be around us. Can't be a friend with us. Can't be
a lover to us.
none of that.
Because
None
all of those
that.
things will make you one of those.
One of those. Push you to the side. Bad.
Allison.
I think, like, first of all, I'm processing all that. Just lay down.
That the Wonder Woman said. She laid it out. Didn't she just laid it out.
Thank you very much. And then I'm just looking at, how polarizing the responses were and how some of it is like pointing directly to people's pent up frustration about how they feel as if the people who are funding these high paid executives in the medical industry are nowhere near mirroring the lifestyles, and how that has just shown people feel like, well, we can be more up until the point where the ethical line is drawn here at the fact that they should be so rich. So since they so rich, then like that has been, I had on my vision board I wanted to get rich, but I'm like, dang, y'all,
Maybe not.
maybe not.
Will you?
Good gracious.
Will they let you?
Well, and the thing too is because
we going there?
The healthcare industry itself has so many problems, and I know lots and lots of people who have had to go through major hoops in order to try to get coverage. Because a healthcare, an insurance company goes against what your doctor has said and that you need in order to get well, because they don't want to pay for the procedure, and that frustration, Dawn, clearly is there.
Yes, it is, and I don't know that it's going to go away, but I think that there are things that we can do to help individuals in advocating for themselves.
Yeah, because this is the extreme. We're not saying anybody should go out and shoot.
Absolutely not.
The
it is
CEO.
criminal.
It is,
Let's be clear.
That's criminal.
We're not
Absolutely.
saying anything other than that.
Absolutely.
And I anyway, it is criminal, and my expectations are that he will be found guilty and incarcerated. But we must watch.
to see what happens. Yeah.
We must
Well,
watch.
and in the same vein, you also had in New York. New York just had some
There's a lot
issues.
going on.
It's been busy
This-
right now.
It's
They are
been busy.
busy. Yeah.
Right.
Been busy.
So Daniel Penny found not guilty in the chokehold death of Jordan Neely. Jordan Neely was a black man who was homeless, living in poverty, suffering with depression and schizophrenia. Penny, who's a Marine veteran, held Neely in a chokehold for more than 6 minutes after Neely, who was unarmed, apparently threatened to kill people. He was on the subway and he was having a moment. Vigilante justice. I mean, this is 2 examples of vigilante justice, but this jury said, nope, he was fine.
Yeah, I mean, like what's the application, and I think that's the conversation that's been happening in America for generations, practically, but highlighted after the George Floyd incident, of course, that really changed the conversation in America temporarily. And I say temporarily, and I always anticipated that in a 24-hour news cycle with social, cultural, and political agendas that underpin who we are as Americans, as much as we like to pretend that they don't, that it wasn't going to stay in the consciousness of America. It would exist as a asterisk in American history, but it would not stay in the consciousness of America because that's not who we are. It's not how we operate. So the next thing that takes us back to whatever our homeostasis is, we are naturally going to incline towards that. And we're going to have some conversation about the drift from DE&I, and because DE&I came alive after George Floyd, but I knew it wouldn't stay alive like that. So but the conversation is about the application of justice in America. So much so that even the word justice, we have talked about as just us.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, it only seems to apply to us. So when we do something, we can even talk about it from an education perspective. In the school systems, you can look at the data to show that 2 students can do almost the exact same thing, but the application of penalty is significantly different for children of color than it is for their counterpart. So while it's never our goal to try to make everything about race, we also can't ignore when it is about race. And we need to do something about that. And does doing something about that mean we're demonizing the allies and sisters and brothers that we love and are grateful for? Absolutely not. I love my family, I love my friends, and heaven will look like a very diverse America. But to pretend that something doesn't exist because of who the honest conversation will make uncomfortable is not serving any of us in America. We need to be able to have the uncomfortable conversations about the realities in ways that don't send all of us to our corners, but invite us to the center to say, what are we going to do about it? Not what are they going to do about it because it's their problem, and not what are you going to do about it because we're blaming you, but what are we going to do about it because this is our America. It's not a blue state. It's not a red state. It's not for everybody who looks like they have white ancestry. It's not for every black person whose generational parents were part of building the America. It doesn't belong to any one of us. It belongs to all of us. But for as long as we keep treating it like the us and them, America will always, a house divided will fall.
And when you talk about the you look at George Floyd, that happened. It's always another thing that happens.
Yeah.
Before you would think we'd learned the lesson, and we haven't.
don't.
We haven't learned the lesson.
Well, we learned the lesson, but we don't follow through on the lesson that was learned, or we don't practice the lesson that was learned, or we practice it for a moment. DEI, George Floyd, all these programs, all these commitments, they're gone.
Yeah.
Or slowly diminishing.
Yeah.
Our universities, they have to let it go if they want to continue to get federal funding. So they might not want to, but they have to because they need the funding.
Yeah.
Corporations, clearly, those who are making the money don't really care as long as they continue to make their money. So how do we impact it? We can, and we do, and there are corporations to support who have always had DEI at the forefront, and those who are implementing and will continue. But we've got to share who they are. We've got to support those businesses, and we have to educate ourselves on everything that is happening in our world, especially now.
Especially now. Since you guys keep bringing up the DEI, let me just mention. So we got Walmart, Ford, Harley Davidson, Tractor Supply, Molson Coors, Lowe's, John Deere, and Brown Forman, which makes Maker's Mark. Bourbon, for those of you bourbon drinkers out there, have all been identified as scaling back or ending their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, with some citing pressure from conservative activists and a shift in public opinion as the reason for a change. Is there a shift in public opinion, Allison?
I think there's a shift, maybe not in the opinion, but in the pressure and the accountability. I mean, there's so many shiny objects that some people can get away with not being as loud and proud about, making a stance because they can make a stance over there. But I think if we just were asked that one question, hey, is racism okay with you? Is taking back the DEI programs okay with you? I think the opinion is still the same. Like, no, we should have it. But because there's so many other things, we still got wars. We got Entertainment Mountain. They are busy over there. We have a lot of things that our society is focused on, that it's just easy for people to look the other way or not be uncomfortable. But
so because you're an HR specialist too, and I mean that's what you do in terms of working with people through your comedy. But are the companies that you're working with, are they saying lighten up on that issue, or don't bring up that issue, or anything like that?
Yeah, great question. So for the most part, most of them that wanted the program still want the program and are doubling down. Companies are doubling down. But then you do have a couple, like I have one client that is like, we still want you every month, but can you not put it on social media that you're here doing a DEI thing? And I'm like, well, because I still need to pay these bills, I will keep it a secret. But it does make me feel a little like, that's interesting. However, what I do like to say, and I've just been kind of honest with myself about it, is to be strategic. Like, the wave is going to come again. In 4 or 5 years, something else credible is going to happen, that the world is like, okay, enough is enough. And we have to learn from the times to take advantage of those moments. I mean, unfortunately, you don't want to be strategic about chaos and trauma and challenges or whatever, but it's like, for me, I learned a lot from the George Floyd unfortunate murder in that situation. I responded to that very differently than I did 5 years ago as an adult. 10 years ago as an adult. I talked to my children differently. I was more prepared if something were to happen again. The way I'm going to show up is to be very different. I took advantage of the programs during the pandemic. There were some people who, so to me, it's like this season of get your stuff in order, because when something else happens again, and then there is a pledge that, by golly, we're going to give to the minority community for 3 months, have your credit together so you can get the program. I'm not missing PPP again, do you hear me? I'm not missing the PPP again. Can't take it off. But I mean, it's sad, but then it's like, it's what we are. It's the times that we have seen it over and over and over again.
So we talk about companies, Dawn, but what about municipalities and government agencies and so forth? We know they're going to have to pull back in the next 4 years.
It depends on what you call it. Depends on how you do it.
Yep.
You can still do it. Mm-hmm. Universities and corporations can still make sure that their offices, their people, their training includes elements of DEI. DEI is just really people working together.
Yes.
Making sure that your office or your business looks like the world, the people who are in the world. So it's not like it's a big thing. It's just it's good business.
And I want to jump in on that. Like, right there, it's also good business. It's just covering your blind spots. Like, it is inviting somebody to the table to represent a community, to give you a little bit of perspective of something you wouldn't have known. So for me, for example, I'm working, and I talked with you about it, Dawn. I have a client that I picked up in Arizona. They had a bunch of, majority of their employees are Mexican. Well, I didn't grow up with Mexicans, okay? You know, here in Virginia, I thought the Mexicans were biracial. It was confusing for me until I got more diverse as an adult. So clearly, I am prone to go out and say something maybe potentially offensive or just ridiculous to my Mexican brothers and sisters because I don't know that. So it benefits me to identify somebody in my life that represents this community that I'm not aware of. So I'm like, yo, don't let me offend nobody. Make sure I'm doing the right things, coming up with the right treats so I can grow this particular client group. I don't understand why they don't see the business in diversity.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with the Another View Roundtable, human behavior specialist, consultant, author, and podcaster, Dr. Alvian Lyons, Norfolk City Treasurer, Don Hester, and comedian and human resources specialist, Allison Moore. Let's take a moment to check in with Lisa Godley for an update on how we're doing in reaching our membership goals. Lisa?
I'm excited to say we're halfway there.
All right. Yay. And we're halfway through the hour, so people need to pick up the phone and dial 800-940-7170 or go to WHRO.org and make that pledge of support. What are folks saying over there?
Well, we had 4 members, and they called. They love Another View. And we're at $1,025, so we're about halfway to meeting that match money.
Okay,
so
come on,
great.
audience. We need you guys to make that pledge of support. Isn't that right, Barry?
Absolutely. Come on now. You have never let us down in the past. We make the goal, so go to your phone now, make that pledge, and listen to this engaging conversation. I know it's tough to multitask because you're trying to listen to the program and also make the pledge at the same time, but take about 89 seconds of your time away from the program and make the pledge.
Very specific.
Absolutely. Very, very specific. 89 seconds.
89.5 seconds.
89.5 seconds. 800-940-7170. You know, audience, Another View has never missed its goal. In the years that we've been on the air for 14 years, we have never missed our goal. So please give us a call now. Don't let today be that day. We don't want that. 800-940-7170 or WHRO.org. Lisa, I'll let you have the last word.
I'm just saying that number just went up. We got another call in.
Yay!
So we're at 1,085. So pick up the phone, give us a call, become a part of the family.
Actually,
support what you love.
You can call now because we're not talking. We're not talking with the roundtable right this moment. So give us a call now if you want to hear the rest of the conversation.
Absolutely.
Now is the time to call 800-940-7170 or go to WHRO.org and make your pledge of support. Thank you very, very much. As we're talking about DEI, Lisa went to see Woke recently. Went to see Wicked recently, and she was talking about how some folks are saying that Wicked is a woke movie designed to make white people feel bad by showing them disliking someone because of the color of their skin. And it's like, how come we never heard such an accusation when Idina Mendes played the Wicked Witch? So, I mean, there's always this thing that's going to... Have you guys seen Wicked?
I have not, but I've
I
seen
haven't seen the movie.
You need your mic down, honey.
I haven't seen the movie. I've seen the play.
You saw the play?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's about differences, but go ahead, madam.
So to Allison's point, connected to what it is you're saying, I would say that the people who wanted the change, that has not changed. The people who never wanted the change, what has changed is it's okay for them to say they never wanted it. What happened when George Floyd took place, and it wasn't just America that responded, the world responded to being able to see that, right? Mm-hmm. So you had marches that were going on and riots that were going on and sit-ins that were going on across the world in response, because America still is the beacon of hope for so many. Mm-hmm. And what we do here affects what's happening in our global family, not just our local. So those during that period of time, the zeitgeist of America said, we can't be racist. We can't be these people who have issue. We can't be the kind that will judge someone or mistreat someone based on where they come from socioeconomically or what their race is. That's where the consciousness of America was at the time. But the reality is people felt the way that they felt, but they knew that they couldn't say it out loud because that was not the appropriate position to maintain in the face of.
Sounds like the election.
Precisely. That's exactly where I was going, because what we know now from what we just watched happen is that how America really felt, America has always felt. But it's just that there are certain times in our history where how we really feel is under the sheets. If you understand exactly
what you're saying.
So we are coming to a place where we don't have to cover it. And when Allison was talking about every 5 years, something's likely to happen, it's these times where we just figure out that we need to cover it or we uncover it. We cover it or we uncover it. But what's underneath the sheets are underneath the sheets. What I would argue that is working against us as an American society as a whole is our unwillingness to do real relationships. I think that goes so much deeper than it just being about race. I rarely do D&I, and you've heard me talk about this before. I do human relations because my race is just a factor in who I am as a human. And so our conversation needs to begin first through the humanity that we share. And then I can discover those other layers.
The interesting thing, though, is that people struggle with seeing the humanity because they don't want to look past the color of your skin. You can't deny that you're a black woman. None of us sitting at this table could walk
I didn't
into
have
a
to come
room.
out of the closet.
Right, exactly.
Good morning today. I'm a black woman. I know you didn't know this about me, but I want you to know.
Yeah, I mean, so we can't. When we walk in a room, people know we are black women. Okay, so and those who don't want or who want to allow that to be a barrier, keep it there.
Well,
so how do you get to the human piece is my point.
Because I have a couple of different friends who in their previous lives used to be racists. I know that doesn't have to be a permanent position. And while it's hard for people to imagine this, the reality is that it is very hard to hate up close. And I've always said that, are we allowed to say the H word on air?
Yeah.
Okay. But I've always said, I will love the hell out of you. And I mean that in its actual sense, right? Because to hate someone is a demonic position in life, right? So, and we're not talking about somebody who raped your child. I understand that hate. I get that. And I'd be right along there with you. Okay. You hurt children. I hate you. Okay. It's different.
It doesn't matter
I don't care
who you are.
I don't care who you are. Okay. Equal opportunity hate coming in your direction if you were a pedophile. Guaranteed. Okay, God will have to work on me where that's concerned. That is not changing in this lifetime. But other than that, there are very few things that I am not willing to step across that bridge to come find you. That is the only one. So if I am determined to find the place that has the seed for connection, there is very little you're going to be able to do to stop me from doing that, because that is actually our responsibility as believers. Those of us that it governs our life, that's our responsibility to come to leave the 99 to find the one. And because I've been there so many times with men who have significantly older than I am, women significantly older than I am, who have held their positions for so long, but they were only able to hold them because they had no real relationships that challenged those positions.
Yeah.
So my goal is first to build real relationship. Never mind that I'm a brown woman. Let's start on relationship. And then when you have real relationships have real conversations. And the real conversations followed the real connection. But I was determined to not allow you to use my packaging as a reason to discount our potential connection. And that created opportunity we talk about some of the most difficult, the things you could never put on air, the things that would get them canceled if they said them out loud anywhere else. We do that in our relationships. And one of my closest friends, I've talked about this before, not only did he come from a space that did not have those kinds of intimate relationships, he joined a bowling league that is all black.
Wow.
And
he really immersed.
he took it all the way there. That because the other thing is, it's also not real transformation if you do exceptionalism. If you allow, I'll be your friend, that means that you just say to yourself, you're not like them.
How many times
does that happen?
Does that
and see,
happen?
for me, that's
all the time.
That's
all
not
the time.
healing.
Exactly.
But when your love for me transfers to your love for the culture and the respect and appreciation for the culture that I come from, that's real healing. And he is a perfect example of someone who really came into true relationship to see all of God's children the way God intended.
We talked, Dawn, about, people being older. Alvin just mentioned about, interacting with people who are older than her and so forth. And I get that, because generationally, kind of, that's what you were taught. But I'm wondering, what are we seeing from our young people? It feels like there's
and
this.
You asking the oldest one in this room.
because you are in education and you're out there in the community and you know what's happening. Because I feel like there's a group that maybe are working together. I mean, I look at my granddaughter and she's got, the rainbow of friends and so forth, which is great. But then I see other kids and I'm hearing the same kind of hate, the same kind of nastiness that older people may have been saying.
Everything comes from how you're raised. Who's in your house? Who you're listening to? Your parents, your relatives. And if you don't provide an opportunity for exposure to others, then that's how you get half the world being half the world and splitting us up.
Yeah, there we go. We want to make sure we can hear you.
I did it. Okay, I did it again. I'm sorry. Trying not to cough and trying to talk at the same time. And so it is, I look at my children. Gosh, when they have activities, my son is oldest is 50. When he has parties, it's so mixed in there that I just love it.
Yeah.
But he was raised that way, and it's always been a part of his life. And I think our younger people, many have been raised that way. Because if you look at them, even if you're on campus or just out in the community or, wherever they might go to dine, they're more mixed than they used to be when I was coming up.
Yeah.
When I was coming up, you were with the black people, and that was it. But because I was in high school in the 70s with integration, my class is totally mixed, and we are still connected to this day and take care of each other, black and white, and everybody who was in the group. So, it's we were fortunate that out of the homes that we came from and the way we got to know each other, whether it was through a club, through cheerleading, through football, through whatever, we were connected. But we were even connected at all the other high schools. Whereas now, it appears that if you go to one high school, you can't be friends with somebody at another high school. So that's territorial. And that's another part of how the culture has changed, in my opinion, and become
it's interesting. You talk about your class was integrated, and our school. I just went to my 50th high school reunion.
Yes. Aren't they wonderful?
And you know what? It was great, and I was really proud of it until I heard somebody say that was half a century.
Thank goodness.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. But it was so interesting because while we were in school, we integrated. We worked together. We did things together. But we literally had to go out and specifically invite the black community. The white community to come to the reunions that we've had over the years. So this whole group of us who were very involved in student government and all of that, but we all would come together, have the reunions, but this group would not. And so we finally went and literally reached out to specific people and said, "Can you please? We want everybody." Did
they start attending?
Small numbers. Small numbers. Yeah. So it's always an interesting conundrum to see what's happening with race. What are you telling your children?
I'm telling my children, they're in a very interesting season. So I have a 20-year-old, a 19-year-old, and 11.
Wow.
And so, don't say wow. Now you should have said something 11 years ago. You need to get some strategy. Don't say wow. You late, man. Oh, wow. I feel the judgment.
Because I'm thinking about that. They 19, 20, and then 11.
I know, child. And then look, Stella's supposed to be getting her groove back right now. Stella out here doing math problems, and going to soccer games. I'm like, this was not good. Succession planning.
You going to soccer game? You're going to soccer games.
Yeah.
There are more of us playing soccer.
That's
it's
right.
More of, yes,
that's right.
More of us playing lacrosse.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So even in that, my two groups of kids are having very different experiences. And I'm seeing that too because I'm going to soccer games. So the soccer community is a very different community than the rec league football community.
Completely different. As I have a 9-year-old in soccer. So
you get it. And so for me, not ever having exposure to the soccer community in my path of growing up and then raising these older children, it's even opportunity for me to grow, right? Like I'm seeing things, I'm like, oh, that's how y'all do? I didn't know that. There's a lot of awakening opportunities too, networking. And then there is this reality sets in where some things are still very real and alive. It's like, are we in 1964? I moved to South Carolina and I'm like, this is a time capsule. I really went back in time. I don't know. I thought it was 6 hours. I think it was like 60 years because what the heck? Y'all know we in 2020. We free. Y'all didn't know? Okay, I'm going back to Virginia. But, even in that, I got to see, again, some people are really still stuck. So it is where I have some communities and I see my sons, the 11-year-old got friends that can articulate things. I never, Miss Allison, I want you to know I'm an ally. I'm like, oh, shoot, I didn't know what that word was. I was like 27. Okay, little chiplet. And then you have some of the others who, they're just like, I heard the word Negro. Somebody said Negro this year. And so it's just about like where you live. I mean, who you live with, who raised you, who raised y'all.
Right.
So much anxiety about 2025 and the upcoming Trump administration. Who knows what the future is going to hold, but what are you doing to prepare for it? Allison, I'm going to start with you.
I'm building my credit score. I'm trying to tell you, I'm laying my head low. So just I'm gonna have my credit in order. Like I just, there is a lot of anxiety, but I am also like a swim upstream kind of person. I try to really pride myself with reframing, limiting beliefs. That's what I'm on right now. So it's like, this is about to be challenging, but you might can really win right now, girl. You can come up because, again, because of the polarizing things that's going on, there are some allies and some people who were baby allies that are coming to the front like enough is enough. I've been able to benefit from some of those relationships. I went to an event in Washington, Bellevue, Washington. I did humor as a soft skill for these accountants. And it was so great. I didn't even know that the accounting industry, y'all stress out there. Shout out to the accountants. Golly, they stress. I did not know because I'm like, why would y'all be stressed? Don't y'all make a lot of money? They are stressed. But I need to talk to you about this money lady.
Yeah, they're dealing with money.
I know.
And other people's money.
I
and
know.
They need to make sure that the money's right.
All of my jokes was hitting. They're like, thank you for the laughter. I'm like, what? Y'all is in a desert. Call me back. But I met some Canadian women. This is a part of why the diversity piece. And
yes, matters.
They were like, are y'all okay, my sisters? And one lady, she was like, my mom and I, we cried. was like, oh wow. So you just never know who is really rooting for you.
It is 100% true.
Go ahead.
And don't make the assumption that because we don't share phenotypic visual connection that we don't share a heart connection. And that's why I'm like, please understand, we are humans before we are anything else. But it is, this particular season is starting to show who's where on things, right? The anxiety over this new administration. We've been through worse things as people of color. Okay, so like, I am not of the perspective that the whole roof is falling down and everything is going to come to pieces. You know, we have been through so much more, and we are unbelievably resilient as a people. And now we are going through it with so many other individuals who get it. So we're not by ourselves anymore inside of this, the way that historically we were almost by ourselves. Because let's not pretend that we didn't have allies then either, or we'd still be enslaved right now, right? So I just want to be clear about that. We have always in America had people who loved us, who didn't look like us, and let us never forget that either. But admittedly, Trump hasn't even gotten in office yet, and my stock portfolio is through the freaking roof.
Yes.
So
But
when
you gotta have a stock
and that's what
portfolio.
that's what Allison is talking about. We need to understand as people of color that some of these seasons are about realizing you got to build the table. Stop waiting for a seat at the table. We need to build our own tables, and those tables, and that's not exclusionary. It's to say that I'm not waiting for anyone to come save me.
Exactly.
We have to be the heroes of our own stories. And it always starts with money. Because if you don't understand the power of economics, which drove almost everything that has happened in American history, then you do not understand what it really means to be American. Patriotism is only one facet, but do understand right underneath that P
Very
is
close.
profitability and
Very close.
it is right underneath it. So we need to get more financially smart. We need to be economically smart. We need to understand that small businesses, this is a very good time for small businesses. You need to start that idea you had that actually has something to back it up. This is the time for you to start exploring that because the tax benefits are worth it.
Except but the Small Business Administration is not going to have any money to give us any.
Well, let me break some news to you about the Small Business Administration, okay? And this is, I'm sorry, this is not a slight on, I'm sure it's done good things for some folks, but do understand that those SBA loans and what happens when they go sideways, huge. If you can work together to be able to not owe anybody anything outside of your mutual investors, you are better off doing that than the SBA loans if you actually look at some of them. The consequence of it going sideways are way more significant than people understand. So if there is collective economics you are capable of, do that. There are so many reasons why you want to be in control of your dollar. And I could tell you stories, but we don't have enough time.
Yeah. What are you doing, Don?
I just want to say that's a topic that we need to continue to delve into
Okay.
in 2025.
Absolutely.
And helping people, even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes that we set aside
Okay.
with whatever. Because it's past time, but now it's truly time. Because it's just necessary in how we manage our money and how we save our money.
100%.
And I'm
invest our money.
invest
And
our
invest
money. And I'm interested in seeing how people respond when families begin to see that they're still not going to have any more money in their pocket because who is the president? And then, in fact, it's probably going to be more challenging in your life. You know, when comments made today is that, you know, inflation is inflation and you can't make costs go down because then you begin to look like you're in a recession. The person who's coming into office said that today.
And understand who tariffs actually impact.
And we have to have those conversations.
So we've got 3 minutes left. I'm going to give each of you a minute to say something of encouragement to folks as we go into this holiday season and as we look forward to next year. So let me start with you, Allison.
Keep your head up. You got this. You all have heard my journey. The overcome, the setbacks have been setting back, but they have been set up. So 2025 is our year. We got this. Go to soccer practice. Go take them funny looking kids to soccer and meet some people you don't know because they'll teach you about money.
Meet some people you don't know.
Meet some people you don't know.
I think that is so important. Just have a conversation. If you just talk about the family, you got kids, I got kids, whatever. Have a conversation with people. 2025 is going to be great. Make sure you take care of your mental health, your spiritual health. Take care of yourself and your family. And then broaden your horizons. There's a lot of new things for us to learn.
Alvin, you get the last word.
My favorite quote, which is going to be my governing quote for 2025, is anything that we're not changing, we're choosing.
Ooh.
And
say that again.
Anything you are not changing, you are choosing. And so while we can't fix everything, we can change our proximity to it. We could change how it fits in our life. We could change how we choose to relate to it. We could change how we think about it. Anything we're not changing, we are choosing. Do not underestimate your power in any situation. This is your life. You're driving it. You are not in the passenger seat. And as to others, since we are stepping into Christmas season, remember that people are like gifts waiting to be unwrapped. What you think you see on the outside is not even close to what's as beautiful as it is on the inside. Unwrap a few new gifts this year.
I wish I could afford you for my staff.
I'm bringing on the More Laughing in the Morning show. You can find her. Virginia's relationship, all the relationships.
Yes.
Ladies, thank you so
Barbara.
much because I so appreciate you all. I know that you give up an hour of your
you.
lives every
We love
month.
you. We love the
and
show.
We really appreciate it. So thank you
Absolutely.
very, very much for that. And we're going to go talk to Pledge Central because I understand from Miss Lisa that we are about $500 short of our goal. Are we, Lisa? Oh, my.
That's all. Come on, y'all.
$535 to be exact. Shy.
man.
75. I
Come on,
mean,
you can't let us not get it.
800-940-7170. That's
Time
the
is
number
short.
to call. We've only got 4 minutes left in this hour, and we need to reach that goal by 1 o'clock. So please give us a call now. 800-940-7170 or go to whro.org and make your pledge of support there. Anybody want to say on the round table why they should support
Well,
Another View?
we can do better than support. I mean, the fact is my portfolio looks good, so we will hit our $2,000. I will promise you that.
Thank you.
Yes.
We appreciate that so very, very
We're not
much.
gonna miss this.
Yeah, we will. This will not be the show.
No. Not in 2024 with all we've been through.
Absolutely. Barry, I hear you laughing back there.
I'm loving it. Okay. Thank you to everybody who has called in. Indeed, please do support this program.
Absolutely. 1-800-940-7170. That is the number to call. Help us reach our matching goal of $2,000. We can do this. Another View listeners, I know that you're out there. And thank you to everyone who has already called in and supported us this hour. There's still plenty of time for those of you who are ready to call with your pledge of support. We could not do this show without you, and we truly, truly thank you. Next week on Another View, the joys and challenges of being a black flower grower. What? Stay tuned for next week. Our theme music is an original composition created especially for Another View by Jay Sennett. Lisa Godley is our show producer. Jordan Christie is our audio engineer, and Dr. Barry Graham answered our phones. I'm Barbara Ham Lee. Thank you again for your support. It's not too late to make that pledge. 800-940-7170 or whro.org. We'll get together again next Thursday at noon for Another View.
Support comes from Hampton Roads Community Foundation, partnering with donors from all walks of life to improve southeastern Virginia through grants, scholarships, and leadership initiatives. Learn more at hamptonroadscf.org.